Good day. How are you? Amazing. Oh my goodness. It is season 5, episode 12 today. And I am talking to you about something that kind of affects us all. And that is being frustrated about not getting the invite. Oh, guys, we have a lot of this self-reflection, and one of the comments or suggestions I had was like, what do I do? What do I say? And so I want to address this. And so give me a moment. Let's everybody go run to the bathroom, do what you gotta do, and I will be right back. And we'll talk about it. Welcome back. Okay, I know we've all gone through this feeling of being excluded, left out. I didn't get the memo. Sometimes there's an easy explanation, right? Like if it's a memorandum in your corporation, maybe you weren't on the group list, or maybe it got updated. Those type of things are reasonable reasons or reasonable excuses. You are looking through social media, and I always bring up social media. It's a big culprit, but you're bringing it up, this topic, so I'm bringing it right back to you on that, in that area. But you're going through social media, and here you see family rejoicing, celebrating, but you weren't there. That's awfully tough, right? Well, there's a lot of things that happen, or you find out about a party that's going to take place, or maybe there's it could be anything, 1,000 of things that you feel that, what can you do about it? So there's a couple of things. First of all, remember, if someone has been in your life for a long time, it might have not been you. You may not be the reason, okay? You may not be the reason why you were not included on this event, okay? Now, you also have to take in consideration, is this something that happens all the time? Like, are you always excluded? Well, then that's something that we're going to dive into. But first, I want to address some things. So, in my own life, I have had milestones for my children, and I always invite all my family and key friends and people that influence my life in positive ways. Now, if any of those times I really did invite someone, if they were someone that I normally would, it may have been just an oversight. So, I didn't get the invite. Okay, well then I apologize. You're still welcome to come. That may have been the reason. Because I have hosted many events. And I always try to be fair. Some people I know are not coming. And I know they're not going to be there, but I still invite them. Because I don't want them to, even though I know they're going to say, I'm not coming. The moment I don't give them the invite, they'll say, I didn't get an invite. So, that's personalities that we deal with. And because I choose to have these personalities in my life, I play the game, right? Now, sometimes you invite a bunch of people, and a whole bunch of people don't show up. Like, I have had multiple parties where my house is packed, and it was like a shocking amount of people that actually showed up. And then during COVID, there was a period where we had little get-togethers, and nobody came. And I had to explain to my children why no one came. And it really was not about them, but, it's situational. So, that's that. So those invites went out, right? But then there's times where we go through our, media, and we're looking through things, and we're like, oh, so-and-so got married. Oh, so-and-so, had a birthday. Oh, they went camping. Oh, they're in the Appalachian Mountains. Oh, they're in space. And the O is not, oh, I'm so happy for them. The O is like, oh, why wasn't I notified in triplicate? And the thing about that is you got to consider some things, okay? The first thing is, are you a part of their life? That's kind of harsh to just kind of spit out. But are you? Do you actively communicate with this person? Now, I have friends that I've been friends with since high school and that I haven't seen for years, and sometimes it's just a happy birthday on social media, right? We have those. And there was a time where we were so inseparable and so connected that anything they did, I was a part of. But now I know, I still love them. They still love me. There's nothing but love, but there's so much time in between, and there's no proximation of living next. They're not like my neighbor. They're not my colleague. They're not, in my particular radius. So they live their life. I live my life. We post. We're happy for each other. And it's an agreement, an unspoken agreement and partnership of enjoy your life. Okay. So they have their events. I have my events. We don't, it doesn't exist. Right. Then we have family members who live far away. They live super far away. So they have an event and you're not invited, not because they didn't want you there. It's because, they know that you're at point Z, they're at point A, and there's no reasonable point in between if they're having a function at their home. Sometimes I've had functions where I invite everyone. You live in California, you live in Florida, you live over there, you're invited. Try to make it. And sometimes people show up like, hey, I came just for you. And those people have so much value because that's a reciprocal value where they're your ride or die. They will show up, okay? Now, when I go back to that first question, are you there in your life? Well, yeah, of course I'm there. Of course, I'm always there. No. You're not liking their posts. You're not commenting on their social media. You're physically picking up the phone and calling them, having conversations. You know the intricacies of their daily life. You know that bread that they bought last time you spoke is probably already all gone. There's no more peanut butter in the house. Like, you know what's going on in the scope of their life. You understand? You are a part of their existence. Now, I have people in my life that maybe we speak monthly. And these are close people in my life. Maybe we speak every other week. We maybe spoke before a lot, but still we have a connection. Or we constantly reach out for feedback. Like, hey, let me ask you a question. Let me throw this at you. Hey, this happened. These are also intricate people that are part of the scope of your life. Okay? So now, if they don't include you, you need to kind of reassess. Wait, what happened? Did I offend you? Are you mad at me? I am so sorry. Like, that's when you do those conversations. But if it's like, hey, we had this barbecue, where were you? And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know. Wait, did I text the wrong number? That's a miscommunication, okay? So you got to kind of assess these things. It could be a variable, or it could be something specific, okay? So you want to avoid getting offended, okay? You just want to avoid it. There's this skit that I love, these two comedians, and they do this whole thing about people who get offended through text messaging. And that's kind of like the same idea. Like, don't go there yet. You don't really know. Maybe there was no intention to hurt your feelings, okay? Now, I have family that routinely goes on a family trip. Me and my family, we used to routinely go on a family trip. We didn't invite anybody. We were going on our family trip. And when we went, people would say, oh, you went over there. We weren't included, but you're never included. This is my family trip. This is my family trip with my particular family. So, that's not something I would ever include. And maybe someone may have felt a certain way, but I've never included them before. I'm not going to include them after. This is a family trip that is routine. So now when I have family that they're going on their family trip, I'm like, oh, here comes that time of the year. They're going to go have fun. There's nothing to be offended about because it's routine. It's a routine trip. Oh, so-and-so's birthday's coming around. They're going to have a little get-together. I know I'm going to get invited. I come every year, and then I'm not invited. There you go. What happened? Well, did they grow up and they don't want to party anymore? They're not doing it? Did mom and dad just, we're just giving them money to shop this year? Those things may have come into play. So, hey, what happened? Did so-and-so have their birthday? Well, I didn't have any cake. Woe is me. Don't go there. How old are they? Are they 1? Are they 2? Are they 5? Are they 10? Are they 20? that routine that you enjoy. Because sometimes, you go to the kid's birthday party and it's really about seeing your family because you know who's going to be there, so you anticipate it. Maybe they're not doing it anymore. Like this year, my sons were like, we don't want anything. We don't want to, well, they want things, but we don't want a party. And so I had to think, okay, well, okay, it's reasonable. We live very far from a lot of our family. My little son was like, excuse me, I want a whole escapade. So he already told me what he wants. So, I'm going to include specific family. And if they can find a way to afford the trip, because this is not a prepaid trip, then they can come. If they cannot, well, we'll see you next time, right? That's what I always say. We'll see you next time. So, or I can't make it, no worries. I always give you that, no worries, right? Because it's not personal. So now you have family that is in your radius. Let's say I'm in New York, you're in New York. I take the same train, you take the same train. I just saw you last week, you just saw me last week. And here we are at this crossroad where I had a party or you had a party, and this is something that we really would have included, but we didn't. Are you offended? So for me, I normally won't ever tread that way. I will never, ever, ever not include someone. That's just not what I'm about. Unless it's my personal family thing, I really don't. And I have adapted so many nuclear family, like my friends and people in my lives, into my family that I usually just invite. And I have a big goulash. I really mix it up. I mix it up. All the worlds get collided. And so, it's like when I do a flamingo. I once did a flamingo in my house when I lived in Jersey, and we invited everyone. And the number one thing I told everybody was, oh, hi, do you know so-and-so? Do you know so-and-so? Have a drink, flamingo. And I walked away. Because I said, I'm hosting. This is fun. It's food. It's kids bar and adult bar. It's music. But it's really not a hosted party. It's more about getting to know everyone. And when we did that event, we thought it would be a cute idea during the summer, because we normally do a barbecue, just to have everybody mix it up. You don't know them. They don't know you. But it's safe because they're all linked to me. I only hang out with people I trust. And so, it's fun. It's a fun thing. Those, I mix it up. I send out a lot of invitations, and who comes, okay? So, but when it's more of a private affair, I still keep the staple. So if you're in the staple, you're included. It's like a non-negotiable. Next year, this time, this day, be available. So, it's tough. And so there's a lot of stuff that we need to counsel. That's the coping. So were they sending messages to you? Like, oh, you're never there for me. You don't speak to me. You don't ask me about anything. You don't call. If they're sending those messages out to you, maybe you've been ignoring them. And maybe you've been ignoring them habitually so that you're not realizing you're ignoring them. That's who I am. Well, that's who you are. That's why you weren't included. And sometimes, if you are introverted, then you may have been excluded because, they don't like to socialize anyway. People assume on you. So you want to address that. Yeah, listen, I like to toot my own horn, buddy, but you better, invite me when you're 2 and 2. You just got to let them know. So these different things. The other thing is, sometimes you invite people over and there's drinks, you have beverages, and then they get crazy. They either get crazy, they get a temper, they have a tantrum, they start being emotional, maybe too touchy-feely. Those people, I don't like to include. And I'll say, you can come, but one drink, please. Okay, control yourself. But the best thing you can do is, and a lot of people felt this, especially during COVID, with the conversations of not being able to be with your loved ones. But you need to have a conversation. So instead of saying to your cousins, uncles, sisters, mothers, husbands, sisters, friends, why don't they include me? I would honestly say sometimes you got to physically pick up the phone and call and say, hey, what happened? Why wasn't I included? Let them figure it out. Here is another thing. Don't anticipate a sorry. If you're in the wrong, they shouldn't say sorry. If you're in the right, they shouldn't say sorry. If it bothers you that much that you have to call, even though it was my suggestion because it's bothering you, well, let's analyze that. When there's a function and my family's not included, you know what I do? I move on. There's always a reason of treading on people. And I don't tread, nor do I need you to explain why you treaded on me. And in my heart and in my family's heart, and when I say my family, I really mean my immediate, my husband, me, and my children, our dogs, our fish, our turtle, in the corners of our four corners in our house, like my family. Nobody in my family ever treads on people in the sense that they feel offended, unless they really did something that is of offense, and then I'll, set them straight. But they don't make it their business to offend or to exclude. And they'll always tell me, oh, can we call so-and-so? Can we do so? If they're not included on something, I don't want that to stop the development of their life. So I'll say, let it go. Who cares? Who cares? They have fun? Great. As I just told you in the last episode, good for them. No worries. You're great. You have a roof over your head. You have food on your plate. You have a happy little life. Enjoy it. Okay? Now you can save your money. You don't gotta buy a gift. You don't gotta do all these things. You see what I'm saying? You really, really need to enterprise those thoughts into other things that bring you joy. We were actually invited to an amazing party, and we said we couldn't go. And we said we couldn't go because my husband really forced me, but we said we couldn't go because my husband truly missed his family and wanted to surprise them. So when we got the invite, we were already planning on being there, and he wanted to make it a surprise. We moved far away, and, we end up missing the ones we love. So we booked like a hot ticket, like a night and day ticket. And when we got there, it was truly an amazing feeling to see our family, to give them love and attention. And it was the reverse. Like, wait, we invited you and you said you couldn't come. But we would never, ever, ever want to offend. But they really are amazing people. And it was just very lovely to be in their presence. You ever just enjoy being with someone and expressing anything with them because they really love you. And so that was a great time we had. But with that said, then we had to come back and go home. So now, next couple of weeks, we have our children's birthdays. And I know my kids are going to feel it because they won't have their family there like they did every year. So I already said, listen, we're not doing nothing. Please don't be offended. So, that's the other thing. Giving people enough information, like, hey, we moved, we're not planning anything, thank you so much. That way when the time does, sometimes your parties are random, but if your parties happen and it's a staple, it's also your responsibility to let people know, hey, it's not happening. Because you may think, well, I don't care. No, I know you don't care, but they do. And it's, people arrange their lives for things. Like, we used to always go to my husband's company holiday party every year. Well, he doesn't work there anymore. So I found myself at the end of last year, I had already bought my dress. Like, I buy a whole dress, I buy an outfit. It's always a fun event. And I already had it in my closet, and I was kind of like, well, can we at least go out to eat tonight? I'm feeling a little nostalgic. And so, my husband was like, oh boy, let's go out. And, you have life transitions. You move on. Like, even this year, I'm going to think, well, what are we going to do? We are in a complete different climate change because where we had seasons in our old town, we don't have that here. So I want to know, there's no apple picking, right? Is there orange picking? What happens in Halloween? So these are new experiences that we're going to experience. But we used to do things traditionally with my family. Like, for example, my children would cut down the Christmas tree or hang up the menorah. Or look at the fall leaves and collect the apples and all these different things. So, we still will do some of those aspects, but we need to be reasonably thinking about what's realistic and how will we engage when people are like, hey, are you coming? Because that's the other thing. Now we won't be coming to a lot of those events, so I don't want anyone to feel left out in our lives. That is never my intention. My whole intention on anything I do always has a purpose. And the number one purpose that I have is making sure that people in my life feel loved. And people, even strangers that I come across, I always like to lead with love, motivation, and respect. If anyone was to ask me what are my 3 top skills, I would say communication, motivation, and coaching. There's other things there too, but that has to do with all my family, all my friends, any colleagues I've ever worked with, and they had an issue. I always try to help them see the problem, resolve the problem, analytically figure out the resolution for the next problem. That's always how I think. And so when there's people in your lives that are experiencing this, then we need to kind of see it and speak to it. Now, if you're a person that is feeling left out, you need to put your feelers out and check for the signals. Are they sending you warning signs? Are they upset? Gotta reach out. But now if you're a person that is like, I am not inviting her, I'm so mad at her, I don't want her in my life, you really should reach out to that person and address it. Now, you do what you want. I'm not your psychologist, or your therapist, but I will say, it'll be healthier for you in the end, because holding a grudge and being angry with someone, especially nowadays when we've realized how losing someone is so hard, I think that's petty. I think that it's time to own who you are and own your relationship that you have with anyone and express, hey, you know what? It's not that I don't want to invite you this week. I'm just upset about something that happened or occurred, and I just want to address it with you. And then talk about it rationally. Now, if you know, hey, listen, there's no way talking to him, there's no way he's going to listen, then why is that person in your life? If someone is toxic in your life, why you accept it? Well, that's why I'm ignoring them. Gotcha. No problem. Understand that they're going to be offended. Now, if they're your uncle, if they're your cousin, they're going to expect some type of fessing up. Now, I will address this. This year, me and my husband, we will make 19 years married. 19, about give or take, years ago, we got married and we eloped. And honestly, marrying my husband was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I hope that never comes back to bite me, but I love him so much. He really is just an incredible person. Now, I didn't invite anybody. And then, his mother didn't know, his father knew, my sister knew, but that was my father was there. That was 1, 2, 3, maybe my cousin, 6 people, right? But we really did not tell everyone. We didn't. We didn't express it. We were both very young. We were worried about a lot of things, but we were madly in love, and we got married. My grandparents were very offended. And for years, they were very upset about it. They would constantly bring it up. And I apologized to them multiple times. My grandfather wanted to be there when I got married. It was really something that he was really anticipating in my life. And he wasn't there. And all I could do was apologize. And, I remember down to the last day that he was alive, and even my grandmother, they brought it up. It always bothered them. And I always felt very bad about it. Was it a great decision? It was. And I feel sorry that I ever, hurt their feelings, and God rest their soul. I know now in heaven, or wherever, I know they're in heaven. I know wherever they're in heaven that they have forgiven it and moved on. Because, you let those things go, especially when you're in God's light. But I do believe that, I would never want, that was one of the reasons why I never want to leave people out. Because I felt bad about that. And even my aunt, expressed to me, I didn't know. And my immediate cousins didn't know. And so I felt kind of later on, I wish I would have handled it differently. I wouldn't have changed the fact that I married my husband, but I wish I would have handled it differently. And, these are things that impact people's lives, especially the ones that are in our lives. And we don't ever want to hurt those people because they're so valuable to us, right? So it's just something to think about. Now, coping. Well, sometimes coping involves a lot of meditation and self-reflection and understanding the root of the cause. Maybe it's something that was really, an offense. You want to just clear it up, move on. Sometimes people hold a grudge. But at the end of the day, if you're left out, and my son brought up this whole conversation the other day about fitting in. If you are left out, let it go. Why? Always applaud everything people do. You got married, you had a birthday, you got a new job. Congratulations. Don't let that impact maybe anything about you. Don't let it be something that's going to be a chip on your shoulder and ruin what you're about. It could also be maybe they had a limited budget. Maybe they really wanted you there. Maybe they had to scale it back this year. It could be a lot of reasons. Now, when you're looking through your social media, and I think that social media has become a big attribute of my podcast, although I don't always want it to be. But I will say, just hit like and swipe and move on. If you want to put a comment, you could always put congratulations or happy birthday or God bless and just move on. One of my friends, they had an event recently, and I put like a heart on it. And I think it was like their child's graduation. Okay. And so they reached out and they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I didn't include you. And it was so funny. I've never done anything with this person more than, us socializing when we were in school together. And I was like, oh my God, it's okay. And they're like, oh, you know what? I would have wanted you there. Now we have a stronger friendship. And I was like, I appreciate the love and the thought. And I was just giving you love. That's all. And, we don't want people to read into it either. We don't want them to, let them be happy and let them move on. Remember, there's something out there called karma, always watching. And on this journey, you were not let out. You were not forgotten about. You were not left out at all. And I'm so happy that you joined me today on this journey of Fantastic Life. Stay tuned for season 6. Take care. Bye now. Hey everyone, this is Fannytasticlife, and I just wanted to say at this close of season 5, I thank you all so much for being part of all my journeys that we've been on together, sharing through experiences, nostalgia, laughing, crying, everything under the sun. Please look forward to season 6, where we'll be discussing a lot of different concepts in business and transitioning into a lot new content. Well, stay tuned, take care, and enjoy. Always the best. Bye now.